Well, Cincinnati's whole thing is, oh, their conference schedule isn't as difficult, and there are teams that are better teams. I love how like you might as well not play the games in college football. That's what I've always hated about this bias in college
Right.
football. You
Right.
might as well not play the games because the
you
same
wanna-
4 or 5 teams are gonna
Right.
get cycled in and out of the playoff every single year. So
What you
what's
should
the
do
point
is
of playing the
just
game? What's
go
the
to the
point of
draft.
Cincinnati being in a Division I team? What's the point of Cincinnati? What's the point of Boise State? What's the point of all of these teams trying to compete allegedly for the college football playoff, for the Division I playoff, when they can just go to Division II and actually probably compete there and have a chance to win? There's zero chance for a team like Cincinnati, UCF, Boise State, UNLV, TCU to actually make the BCS title game before or the college football playoff now, because there's always been a bias in these selecting committees. They don't want these lesser known, small market teams to get in because it means less revenue for them. Because who's gonna let's be honest here. What's gonna make more money? Like, let's be honest. A game between
You're talking money?
Ohio State and Alabama, or a game between Boise State and Ohio State. You're gonna pick Alabama to be in there every single time because Alabama has more fans, because Alabama
understood to be the better game.
has more of a base. It's allegedly supposed to be a better game, even though you could argue that a Cincinnati team might actually be more battle tested and more ready to play that game than a lot of these teams. But it's never about what's actually happened throughout the season other than what's happening in the SEC and the Big Ten. Those are the only two conferences that really matter. And if those are the only two conferences that matter, then fuck it. Why do you have the MAC West? Why do you have even the Pac-12 if their teams aren't going to even have a chance at it? So, like, let the SEC and the Big Ten have their own championship game. You can call it the college football playoff, call it whatever you want, but you got to give these other teams something. You got to give these other teams a chance to actually win something that's not the fucking Mako Bowl. That's not the fucking, like, Chick-fil-A Happy Days Bowl. Like, come on. Like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick
McDonald's
of
ba-da-ba-ba-ba
No,
bowl.
but because even notice what they did. I know you mentioned TCU. Dude, they forced TCU to leave the Mountain West and go join the Big 12. And even then, they had an undefeated season the first year of the playoffs, and they got screwed out of the college football playoff because they didn't have a conference championship game. So look back to they screwed over an undefeated 12-0 TCU team from even being in the playoff because they wouldn't have had, but they let other teams – they let teams with one loss in the playoffs, the inaugural playoff.
Yep.
But they kept TC. They forced a quote-unquote mid-major team to join a major conference. That team joined the major conference, won the major conference, didn't lose a game, and still kept him out.
Dude,
that's a problem.
It's just like back in 2007 when Boise State ran the table, and they were by far the best team in college football that year. You look at that offense, nobody's running plays like that. Nobody was as efficient on offense like that. That team was set to win a national championship game that year. What happened, though, Andrew? Nope, they put him in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. They gave him like a little token prize. Like, okay, yeah, you can have the little Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. That doesn't really count for anything, but it's a bowl game.
They played Oklahoma.
And they played Oklahoma. What'd they do, Andrew? Statue of Liberty play. They beat one of the most high-powered offenses in college football that year.
That Oklahoma team did have Adrian Peterson too,
They had Adrian Peterson, and it's just you constantly see this. UCF went undefeated 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row went undefeated.
They beat Auburn.
They beat Auburn.
And lost a one-score game the next year to LSU, who the year after won the national championship.
So you have all of this shit coming in, and when you think about it, it doesn't make sense. The entire system doesn't make sense because if you're gonna have the SEC and the Big Ten as the only schools that are gonna be actually playing in these college football playoffs, then just make the playoffs exclusive to those conferences and let the other teams compete for something else. Because one, I'm not just arguing it's not fair. Two, it's just not entertaining. If you're a fan of Boise State, if you're a fan of USC, if you're a fan of TCU, if you're a fan of any of these teams that have consistently have good programs, Cincinnati, if you consistently have good programs, you consistently well coach, you consistently turn out NFL caliber talent, then what's the point of playing these games if you're not going to have a chance to actually win a real championship?
And it's not even like you could sit up there and you could be like, oh, the talent's not there on that Cincinnati team. Listen, it's not their fault that Luke Fickell is a better recruiter than 90% of the coaches in college football and can build up a fucking Power 5 roster in a non-Power 5 conference. That's not his fault. It's not his fault that he's that good of a recruiter and could build up a roster like that in a non-Power 5 conference. That's not his fault.
Dude,
you're going to say, oh, you're going to force a dude like that to go to a fucking – you're going to force a dude like that, what, to take a job at a fucking – at Kansas where fucking Les Miles, who was a recruiting guru in fucking LSU, he can't even – Les Miles can't build up Kansas. Like, you're going to force him to go to a fucking job for a team in a conference that, you know, Jesus can't win there? No.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
It's like, and you even look at, like, someone like Chris Peterson, coach of Boise State for several years. He left Boise State, went to Washington. They forced him to go to Washington. Sole reason he left was because he wanted to win a championship. And they were depriving him. And honestly, it's the biggest tragedy of the college football playoff and the BCS that Kellen Moore, during his time at Boise State, was never allowed a chance at a BCS national championship game, because those Boise State teams on offense, defense, and special teams were among the best, and they proved it because they always beat every single top 25 team they played.
Dude, Andy Dalton and TCU won the Rose Bowl that year. Yeah. They beat J.J. Watt and Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl that year, and I'm one of those people who was like, I think you could have put them on the field with, I'm not saying Alabama, but, you know, I'm trying to remember, was that the year that Alabama played? Because if that was the year that Alabama played against Notre Dame, we already knew what was going to happen. When that Alabama team, every motherfucker on the defensive side of the football was an NFL player.
That was 2013. That was an NFL defense. That was an NFL
that's what I'm saying.
Defense.
So it didn't matter who the fuck their opponent was. Alabama was going to win anyway. Throw TCU in there. And see what could happen. Andy Dalton was no scrub in college.
And let's talk about this. They're talking about how potentially like a 2-loss team could be making the college football playoff this year.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. For more content, please hit that notification bell, comment, subscribe, and everything like that. And just remember, keep it real.